Most students find the assertion and reason kind of questions in CTET to be the toughest, and they may be right because I've seen so many students get this wrong. But once you have learned the correct way to solve these kind of questions, these are extremely scoring questions because the answer options always remain the same. In this video, it's going to be a little long. I'll be solving all the AR questions from the 2024 papers, that is the January 2024 and the July 2024 CDP papers of paper 1 and paper 2. But before that, I would tell you about the common problems which students face, the steps to follow, what to focus on when you are solving these AR questions, and of course, the answers to the January and July questions. Hi, I'm Dr. Swasti Dhar and I mentor teachers and trainee teachers to clear their CTET in their first attempt. Quick update, my 3 to 4 month long PYP solving session which happens every week. This course has started from the 15th of September, and in this we meet students every week on a Sunday at 5 p.m. and we solve papers. Now I will be putting the video of these sessions onto YouTube so you can follow that. But if you would like the recordings, the PYPs, the answers and the explanations as a resource, then I invite you to join this PYP course. The link will be in the description, and all this is just for $4.99 for 3 months, a one-time payment. Now that the update is given, let's get back to solving A&R questions. Let's dig in. So the January 2024 paper had 6 AR questions, 4 in CDP and 2 in EVS. The EVS also had these AB kind of questions, and I'll link that video out here which says what are the different ways in which a question can be asked. And the January 2024 paper 2 had 19 A&R questions, 6 in CDP, 1 in English, so that is 7 for everybody, and 12 in the social science. So earlier the A&R questions were restricted to the social science papers, but now it has come into many of these sections. So maths and science did not have any A&R questions. In the July 2024 paper, there were 8 A&R questions in paper 1, 5 in CDP and 3 in EVS, while paper 2 had 14 A&R questions, 6 in CDP, 4 in science, 3 in social science, and again 1 in English. So as you can see, paper 2 does have little more A&R questions, but believe me, these are very simple to answer. So the question is, why do students find these kind of questions difficult? Here are some common reasons that I see. The first is that they don't know the meaning of the word assertion. What does it mean when you assert something? So the meaning of assertion is to say that something is definitely true. So if I give a statement saying the sun rises in the east, then I'm asserting that the sun rises in the east. Now you have to figure out whether the sun does rise in the east. So to assert means to say this is true. The second reason is, even if they know what the meaning of assertion is, they don't know whether the assertion is true. Does the sun rise in the east? What if the assertion sentence was the sun rises in the west? So for this, your concept and your content have to be very clear. The third is, does the reason A, is it true or not? But even if it is true, does it support the assertion? So let me show you the steps for solving an A&R question. Now I will start with a caveat, which means it's a caution sign. And the caution sign is that the answers have always been this way. So before you attempt the next set of questions, do check out the answer options first. So generally, option 1 is both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation for A. Option 2 is both A and R are true but R is not the correct explanation for A. Option 3 is A is true but R is false. And option 4 is both A and R are false. So this shouldn't change, but if you're watching this video much later in the future, we are right now preparing for the December 2024 exam. So if you're watching this video much later, thank you. But be cautious because the exam style could have changed. So how do you go about it? So just going back to what I had shown you, note this, that in options 1, 2 and 3, A is true. It is only in option 4 that A is false. So keeping these 4 points in mind, remember that in option 4, A is false. In option 3, A is true, R is false. In option both 2 and 1, that is in options 1 and 2, A and R are true, but in option 2, R does not explain A, but in option 1, R is the correct explanation for A. So keeping this in mind, we will start with assertion. Assertion means, is this statement true? If it is false, then directly we have option 4. Then you don't have to read or spend time on this question at all. But if it is true, then you have to see the reason. If the reason is false, then you have option 3. Here is option 3, which says A is true but R is false. But if the reason is true, then you have to check whether the reason explains A. If it does not, then it is option 2, and if it does, then it is option 1. So these are the 4 steps. Step 1, start with the assertion. If it is false, directly go to option 4, tick that and move ahead. If it is true, then read the reason. If the reason is false, then go to option 3 and move on. If the reason is true, then see whether it explains A. Is it the correct reason for A? हिंदी में इसको मैं बोलूंगी कि क्योंकि R हो रहा है तभी A पॉसिबल है. A तभी सच है क्योंकि R हो रहा है. A is true only because R is explaining it. So if it explains it, then you go for option 1. If it doesn't explain it, you go for option 2. So I hope these steps are clear. Let's solve the questions from the January and the July CTET papers. I'll only be focusing on CDP. So this is the January paper, and let's see the assertion question. So the first is question number 4. The assertion says learners construct their own knowledge based on what they already know. So already know is previous knowledge, and they construct their own knowledge. Piaget says so. So the assertion is true. So option 4 is cancelled. Let's see the reason. Finding patterns and making linkages with previous knowledge helps learners to process information meaningfully. So not only is this true, this explains A. It is because learners find patterns and linkages, meaningful linkages, will help them process information meaningfully. That is why learners can construct their own knowledge. So in this case, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. The next question, childhood is experienced differently by children across cultures. So childhood, remember, is a social concept. So this is true. Children's development is universal. So development, we know, is not the same everywhere. So A is true, but R is false. Next is question number 10. This is from Lawrence Kohlberg, which says, in Lawrence Kohlberg's moral development theory, children move from understanding consequences of acts to determining whether they are good or bad, to understanding the rules and laws are flexible and can be changed. So yes, this is true, because when we are moving from stage 1, where we are talking about the consequences and whether they are good or bad, and then we go to stage 2, when rules and laws are flexible and can be changed. So yes, assertion is true. And the reason he says is moral development occurs progressively in stages. Yes, it moves from stage 1 to stage 5 or 6. 6 is ultimate, but it's universal. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. So if you break it down like this, step by step, this becomes easier. Next, question 18. School curriculum should give reasonable space and value to the learner's cultural knowledge. Yes, the learner's cultural knowledge must be given space and value. Why? Supporting students to uphold their cultural identity facilitates learning. So not only is this true, that is the reason school curriculum should give. So again, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. So those were the 4 questions from paper 1. Let's move on to paper 2 of January 2024. So this is paper 2 of Jan 2024, and we have question 9, which says teachers should constantly reflect on their own stereotypes and biases. So definitely they should. So A is true. Why? Culturally responsive teaching means that teachers are reflective. Yes, it is true, and that is why teachers should reflect on themselves. So again, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Question 11. Learning from real life problems and concrete experiences gives children multiple pathways for learning and retrieving information. So yes, so if they're learning from real life and concrete experiences, they will have many ways, multiple pathways for learning and retrieving information. Development is relatively orderly and sequential. This is also true. But because development is relatively orderly and sequential, is that why learning from real life problems gives children multiple ways? So there is no explanation. So both A and R are true out here, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Next question. In an inclusive classroom, adaptations should be made in learning goals, yes, in pedagogical strategies, as well as assessment. So very much, we should make adaptations in the goals for everybody, the strategies that we will use, and how we will assess them. Why? The philosophy of inclusion advocates elimination of all individual differences through pedagogical approaches and assessments. So, can we eliminate all individual differences just through pedagogy? So, R is false. So, here the answer will be A is true, but R is false. Next, the assertion is students are more likely to do well and stay in school if they have emotional attachment to their school and believe that they matter. So this is very, very true. We as teachers know this. Emotions play a significant role in learning. Yes, so the reason is true and the reason explains A. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. The less able a child is to do a task, the more directions the teacher should give. And as the child can do more and more, the teacher should help less and less. So correct. If the child is able to do less, the teacher should help more. But as the child learns and can do more and more, the teacher should help less and less. So yes, the assertion is true. Now let's see what R says. Intelligence cannot be accurately measured by calculating IQ. So this is also true. But this and this have no relationship between them, because this is talking about scaffolding or even using MKO, depends on which theory you're looking at. But not being able to calculate intelligence through IQ, which is correct, does not explain that. So both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Next question. There is no objectively definable moment when a child enters middle childhood or adolescence. So this is true. You can't objectively say that exactly at 4 years. So middle childhood is your 4 to 9 years. So you can't say exactly on the 4th birthday the child will enter middle childhood. So this is true. And development is continuous in nature. This is also true. And because development is continuous in nature, we cannot basically say that there is a definable moment. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation for A. So this was paper 1 and paper 2 of the January 2024. Similarly, I'll be doing the papers of the currently concluded July papers, both paper 1 and paper 2. This is paper of July 2024, paper 1, set A, and there are 5 A&R questions. So let's find them. Teachers should constantly examine their own attitude and biases while working with children. Yes, definitely we should do this. The process of problem solving is hindered by functional fixedness. Now this is also true, but it has nothing to do with examining biases. So both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So that was the first question. Here's the second. Teachers should provide emotional support to children in the classroom to ensure effective learning. Yes, definitely. They should be giving emotional support. Emotions and cognition are related to each other in complex ways. So this is also true. And it is because emotion and cognition are related to each other that teachers should provide emotional support. So both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. So question 14, this is the third one. Classroom pedagogy should be culturally responsive to meet the needs of students from diverse cultural backgrounds. Definitely, we should have a culturally responsive classroom, the pedagogy that we use. The reason they have given is equity in the classroom can be ensured only through standardized curriculum. So we don't need standardized curriculum. Therefore, A is true, but R is false. So that was the third of those questions. Let's go to the fourth one. Yes, this is question 17. Teachers should focus on asking questions in classrooms and encouraging children to ask questions rather than giving instructions. Yes, so children should be more engaged and they should be asking questions. The reason they've given is that child-centered pedagogy means giving opportunities to children's voices and ensuring their participation. So yes, not only is this true, this is correctly explaining A. So both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. And there will be one more. Here it is, question 26. Well, some children start babbling and uttering two-word sentences at 12 months. Others don't do this till they are 20 months old. So individual differences are coming in and babbling generally happens at this age. The reason they are saying is developmental milestones are only suggestive and development of individual children can be quite very correct. So because this is true and correctly explains this. So both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. So these were the 5 A&R questions from the CDP of paper 1, July 2024. We'll now move on to paper 2 of July 2024. So this is paper 2 of July 2024 and there are 6 questions. So let's find these 6 questions. Here's the first one. During adolescence, the pressure to conform to gender expectations and follow conventions of femininity or masculinity increases. Yes, so during adolescence, our gender expectations and taking on our gender role will increase. Gender and gender roles are determined biologically. So remember, gender is a social concept. So A is true, but R is false. Next, teachers should encourage debates, discussions and collaborations among students. Yes, definitely they should do this. The reason they are saying is knowledge production is an inactive process. No, this by itself is wrong. And engagement in group activities hinders meaningful learning. So again, A is true, but R is false. Third, schools should function within frameworks which assess the finished product and learning outcome. So no, this is absolutely wrong. A school cannot only be assessing the finished product and the outcomes. The process is very important. So both A and R are false. Now I haven't read R, but I'm sure R will be false. Learning is tightly sequential and hierarchical. So this is again false. So both A and R are false. Here's the fourth one. Teachers should respect the individual differences among learners. Yes. Adapt their teaching to cater to the needs of all students. Definitely. Collaborations, group works and interactions among students should be avoided. No, never. So A is true, but R is false. So the moment I know that R is false, I don't have to really read ahead. Here's the fifth of the questions. In Asian cultures which stress social harmony, expressions of anger are discouraged and shame is encouraged. So this is true. Emotions are subjective and do not play any role in learning. So yes, emotions do play a role. So A is true, but R is false. And the final AR question, teachers should give a lot of opportunities to children for experimentation and discuss examples and non-examples. Yes, so both examples and non-examples have to be discussed. So A is true. A constructive way of dealing with misconceptions is to provide counter examples. So this is correct. Counter examples or non-examples is a good way to teach, and this also explains what A is saying. So both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Do let me know how you found this video and the explanations and the steps that I gave you for following A&R questions. Did this make your life simpler? Do leave that thought in the comments below. Give it a like in case this video helped you. Again, if you are interested in solving PYPs for the December 2024 CTET, then I'll be leaving a link in the description of the weekly PYP classes. We'll be solving PYPs for the next 3 or 4 months till the December exam is done. Thank you for watching this video.